Muy buenos días. En nombre del Centro Tecnológico para la Innovación en la Construcción CTeC y la Cámara Chilena de la Construcción, le damos la más cordial bienvenida al lanzamiento del Parque Innovación. Antes de comenzar, quisiera presentarme. Mi nombre es Yasna Pardo, gerente de Asuntos Corporativos de CTeC, y los estaré acompañando durante esta jornada. Para iniciar, les sugiero programar el idioma de preferencia con el cual participar.
During this day. To start, I'm going to suggest you to select the language of your preference and please share your screen, share your experience with the hashtag Parque CTeC. The Technological Center for Innovation in Construction is a center boosted by the program of strengthening and creation of technological skills for innovation. This gathers national knowledge and global expertise through their partners. This was born on 2017, and its aim is to transform the construction sector and central aspects of productivity and sustainability. In this way, manage national development that has a social, economic, and environmental positive impact. In this context, we are gathered now for the launch of the first Park of Innovation on the construction sector. We would like to welcome Mrs. Luis de Souza, British Ambassador in Chile, Mr. Paul Pacheco, Ambassador from Brazil, Mr. Ennio Vivaldi, Dean of University of Chile, Mr. Eduardo Hebel, Dean of the University La Frontera, Mr. Pablo Terrazas, Executive VP of Corfo, Mr. Antonio Errázuriz, President of the Chilean Chamber of Commerce for Construction, Mr. Fernando Henschel, Manager of Technological Capacities of Corfo, Emmanuel Dienga, Economical Advisor from the Belgium Embassy. We would also like to welcome everyone here, teachers, investigators, and professionals of all the institutions that have a partnership with the corporation. Universidad de Chile, Universidad de Antofagasta, and all the different universities and our international partners, BRE, Tecnalia, and Eurocat. We were also to greet the companies that have collaborated in the park and of course everyone participating today in this launch. The construction industry is one of the key engines of national economy. However, for over 3 decades, its productivity has been stopped in comparison to other productive sectors in terms of innovation and use of technology. And from this gap, Corfo, through its first program, Construye 2025, boosts the creation of the CTeC and the Innovation Park. This park aims to put together different companies in the sector and different startups and public institutions, becoming a meeting platform promoting technologies and disruptive methodologies that accelerate the technological jump that this industry requires. To start its launch, we would like to ask you to watch the next video where different authorities have wanted to be present. Go ahead with the video. We want to invite everyone to know the Innovation Park CTeC thrusted by Corfo, aiming to put together in a physical place all those big companies with academy and of course startups from our country. We aim to improve construction systems, incorporating new systems and innovating processes. This is very important to maintain more efficient our constructions. Thank you for this great initiative so we can have an innovation park here in Chile. This is a key project to reinforce construction in Chile. And it is a very important initiative to encourage the different construction systems in terms of infrastructure. We trust that our alliance will push every new company in the market so that the country can move forward to sustainable solutions. These kind of initiatives are necessary to progress towards a zero emissions economy. This is why I wish you the best of the success with this innovation park. As rector of the university, we are part of this initiative, and from the south of Chile, we are ready to start this piloting in the university that will boost constructions in the southern part of the country. The combination of the expertise and academy and the connection with the environment and its needs, adding to the active collaboration of the main agents from the region in the sector, will open growth possibilities to innovations, always with a local point of view, because from regions we have a great contribution for the development of the country that everyone yearns and needs. One of the keys for the development of the future of this activity is application of technology. We need to manage to use these progresses focusing on our human capital. This is why it's a thrill to attend this launch. Without a doubt, this innovation park will mark an important landmark in the future of construction. As the Chilean Construction Chamber, we look for new spaces for innovations like this park. We hope that this is just the beginning and that many other companies can join to this alliance. We are very proud to be a part of this space, and we hope that from now on, this initiative will potentiate construction. Congratulations on this landmark, and let's hope that this is a space for dialogue and creativity that will remain in time.
Muchas gracias por sus palabras.
Thank you very much for your words, Pablo Terrazas, the British ambassador, the rector of the University of La Frontera, and the president of the Chilean Chamber of Construction. We would also like to welcome Francisco Martinez, Dean of the Mathematical Sciences from the university, that has just joined us in this launch. Let me remind you that you can share this screen. You can share this presentation through social media, and you can ask questions through the WhatsApp number on your screens. Now, Mr. Ennio Vivaldi would like to say a few words, rector from University of Chile, and one of the universities that are joining this partnership. Innovating in the country and creating spaces where our park is inserted. Thank you so much, Yasna. For us, this is a very important moment, very joyful occasion. First of all, thank you, because we consider that being chosen for this enormous project in the university is something that we really appreciate, and we would like to invite you to feel identified with the project. Universidad de Chile is a university participating in this park, but just being here, being in this place, we would like you to feel this as your own, the ideals of this project. And if you think about the CTeC project and the features that obtained, all the diplomacy and commercial alliances and the academy that we have had. It's almost as a platonic aspect. It's something that we have always dreamed of, because in this CTeC project, in the first place, is thought for the future, to improve construction for Chileans in the future, give better conditions for construction, and above all, match this with the big transformations that the world is going through, digital transformation, or what we want technology to be applied in construction, and of course environmental transformation, to be more conscientious and aware of these issues. This is very important, how these two aspects converge in this project. And this is why we would like to thank you for being committed with this project. I would also like to say a few words on this project, just to reinforce the identity of objectives that the CTeC chases. In the first place, we would like to assume a transdisciplinarity. And the university can feel very proud, because each of the departments and the areas has contributed to the development of the country. However, the complexity of the current problems forces us to anticipate that we are not going to solve this from isolated disciplines. We need them to have conversations. We need them to intertwine. The solutions need to be hybrid. It's going to be something that we don't know today, and that will come from the contributions of the different disciplines. And this is exactly what we want this park to provide, an instance in which different disciplines, health, law, medicine, can contribute to find new solutions to the complex problems of the present. And this park also represents the possibility of working with the government. This is why we value so much the words of Mr. Terraza, and we value the presence of government authorities. The other key aspect is the work with the different companies in Chile to develop science and technology here. This is why the business sector, for us, it's a very important sector. When we listen to the words of the president of the Chilean Chamber of Construction, because we are very close to the Ministry of Interior, they have this huge responsibility in facing the pandemic. And for that, we would like to give some warm words. Now, we are interested in the international world, international entities, and we appreciate the words of the United Kingdom ambassador and the presence of the Belgium embassy and the Brazilian embassy. They're going to be present today. This convergence of these four agents, governments, universities, companies, and international entities are the basis of this park. And last, here we would like to have a projection to society, and we are doing this by developing different spaces and caring for the environment directly and interacting with the local community. This is why I'm not overreacting when I say, if we dream this at once, and this is it. And this is going to be involved with the physics and mathematics faculty. And what we're living now with the CCchC is the platonic ideal. This is the realization of this ideal. This is what we dreamed of, and we are now observing it become a reality. So thank you so much on behalf of Universidad de Chile, along with my conviction that what we are doing here is going to be a very important contribution for the future of the country. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias por sus palabras.
Thank you for your words. Please excuse Mr. Vivaldi because he has prior engagements and he won't be able to join us throughout the whole launch. The Innovation Park CTeC is an important landmark for the future of construction. On a world level, technological parks have proven to be an instance for innovation. Think outside the box and accompany dynamic processes and modernization of industries, where collaboration plays an important role. To explain this latter, please let's watch this next video so you can get to know this look, the motivation of the companies that are already working with us in the Park of Innovation.
Si nosotros queremos cambiar la forma de
If we want to change the way of building and living the cities, we need innovation. Innovation doesn't come by itself. It's part of a collaborative group.
Estamos muy contentos y orgullosos hoy.
We are very happy to put this park at your disposal. This is a place of meeting and construction where top-of-the-edge technologies will converge.
Aquí las empresas podrán pilotear.
Here, companies can do pilots, monitor and test, validate different solutions, new materials or new processes in an integrated way. What we want to do is improve construction systems, incorporating new technologies and innovating in the processes. This is very important to maintain a more efficient construction. Constructions, as many other sectors, need to adapt in light of technological improvements, trends, and better managing of energy and any other relevant aspect that can be tested here in this park.
Este proyecto CTeC es un excelente.
This CTeC project is a great example because every protagonist is combined. Universities, the government, the private companies, and international entities. They are the protagonists that we want to invite. Innovation Park of the CTeC is inspired, and this is the idea to generate instances of collaboration between companies. Here's a mix of solutions. Here we have more history, but we have other solutions with different startups and new entrepreneurs that we have a chance to test and try them out. The park will allow the development of many products on a national level, developed here in the country. When we have initiatives as this one in one place, you can see innovation, connect with the company and bring knowledge, which allows to gain more visibility on this sector that is strongly growing. And hopefully every company can take advantage of. We invite you to be a part of this change of the industry, and this is the best place to do it, our Innovation Park.
A través del Parque de Innovación, CTeC busca cambiar los paradigmas del
With the innovation plan, CTeC seeks to shift the paradigm, driving collaboration and innovation of different stakeholders regarding building. It presents an opportunity and an invitation to rethink the way we're working on projects with the aim of making processes more efficient and obtaining better results in terms of productivity and sustainability. To know what the Innovation Park is about, in depth, the associated services and the opportunity it represents for the companies in the sector, I'd like to leave with you Carolina Briones. Carolina is an architect from Universidad de Chile, expert in implementation of BIM methodologies and currently executive director of CTeC. Please go ahead, Carolina. Thank you very much, Jess. Thank you to all the authorities that are present today and to the attendees today. As the rector just mentioned, Provost mentioned, it is a very important day for us. And I'd like to convey how pleased we are, everyone that is connected today and the day of launching of the park. And I'd like to also thank the entire team of CTeC that has worked in this. Maybe that will not be today visible on screen, but for their great effort, along with everyone that's seen the value of the park. And they've made collaboration, or they've collaborated for us to be present today. I'd like to thank Gloria Maldonado, former director of the CTeC. I'd like to thank the Corfo team, the EVM team as well. And I'm going to rapidly show how we initiate and manage this project. I will first start explaining what CTeC is. CTeC is a technological center for innovation in construction, which is managed when we associate, when these 7-member universities partner together, plus the expertise at 3 international BRE from the UK, Tecnala, and Eurocad, 3 companies, Eurocad from Spain. What we do is to articulate the capacities of all our member universities, plus our international guests, our members, to provide services to companies here in Chile. We are a nonprofit organization corporation, but we were able to raise this project thanks to the funding of Corfo and to the management provided by the Ministry of Science and Technology. What do we do after in CTeC? We are a center that disseminates disruptive technologies and open innovation. We promote synergies and collaboration in the ecosystem of construction. We drive digitalization, prototyping, and piloting with the research and development projects and training with the aim of improving productivity, sustainability, and competitiveness of companies and or institutions that promote our sector. And for that purpose, we have detected that we must work together in 4 lines of business. On the one hand, digitalization, which is basic and critical nowadays within our companies, industrialization, which we will promote now through the Innovation Park, the new technologies, new processes and methodologies that allow us to be more efficient in our labor. And all of this looked at with an approach and sustainability, how we can improve the conditions that the next generations will live in. And I'd like to tell you what an innovation park is. It's very hard to convey this message because in Chile we don't know an innovation park. We don't have any that we can understand as a referent. But fortunately, one of our international partners in BRE has accompanied us during this entire process in creating this park in Chile. Parks are a unique place to test the innovations of the construction sector, and it seeks a positive impact in the environment. Then we have the BRE Park outside of London, the Innovation Park, and we're very proud to show you that CTeC, and that's part of innovation, is part of the international network of parks. And what we want to do is to put expertise here for the development of these innovations, these pilots for research, applied research, and for disseminating, conveying these new materials, technologies designed through a platform where we generate the synergies that are required for collaboration. But why should we innovate? Why do we need innovation in the construction sector? Why is it so hard in a very traditional sector that's still not able to shift its paradigm and its way of working? If we first go to the definition of innovation, we see that it is created by a group of the OECD, and it is in the Frascati manual developed by mid last century, and this definition is constantly updated. And it tells us that scientific and technological innovation is defined as a transformation of idea and a new product, but not only a new product, but ways of creating processes and methodologies that are new to improve the doing in the industry, improve services and improve trade. And this is something that it's very hard to do because it's not short to do. Generating innovation from a sector, from a company, means changing culture, changing the models, work models or economic models sometimes. That is why in Chile, we detect since 2016 through the program Build 2025 led by Corfo, we really realized that there were some gaps in our sector. That's why they created the National Strategy of Productivity and Sustainable Construction, which defines 4 axes for us to work together in improving our industry. The first axis says that we want our industry to be more productive, an industry that produces better buildings that are more sustainable with time, an industry that strengthens innovation and the use of new technologies, and an industry that develops products and services and talents which we can export. Why not to Latin American scale and global scale? And Build 2025, Construye 2025 from Corfo, along with many other initiatives, promotes the creation of CTeC. And nowadays, it's the innovation park that we're inaugurating. What is the value that we see to this CTeC innovation park? The first value it has in the first place, which our provost talked about, is that it will be inserted within an ecosystem of innovation, which is the Park Karen within Universidad de Chile, which will be a pool of disruptive technologies experimenting, where we will have our national and international researchers. We will have generate knowledge and accelerate all the different industries in digital transformation. We fortunately will be inserted in this pool of innovation, and we'll be here, as you can see, close to EDM and neighbors to them. And we'll have a linking building that will have new technologies. Another brother or sister company, Peteta, which is from the food industry, will generate all this new knowledge. And the innovation park today, with its facilities, is a unique place in Chile for the sector to develop innovation and piloting. We provide national expertise from our 7 member universities and international expertise with our members and our international partners that are already present. The park has been thought of to respond to the needs that you, those of you listening from the sector, require. That is why it is a flexible and an infrastructure that can be retrofitted to anything you want. It will disseminate networking. It will promote networking, collaborative instances. It will help you detect new activities and technology. And we'll have this culture of making decisions based on data that will be installed. Our facilities, on the one hand, we will have offices, training rooms, all the basic facilities for the teams to go and work in the park. We'll have plots available for exhibitions, and we'll have plots for piloting projects and innovation. We have 5,500 square meters in total for piloting, with all the networks, the basic services available, light, electricity, internet, etc. Security systems, which is it's very important to understand that this Karen Park is acknowledged as use of scientific soil, so we have much flexibility regarding the regulation and what we can pilot there. How will CTeC accompany the companies that are part, or the businesses that are part of the park? We're offering a service and accompanying them in prototyping and piloting of solutions in a real scale and in real environmental conditions. We, as CTeC, will offer services to to sensor this and to measure everything to see if they have hydrothermal, acoustic, everything in place. We will generate reports, and we currently have the privilege of telling you that we have a follow-up platform that we have developed together with a member country, a partner company, Velocity, which it's a platform that allows us to follow in real term the sensors and the reportability of what we're measuring in our pilots. And that is how this first digital twins platform here in Chile. Everything will be censored through artificial intelligence, and in real time, we'll be able to see the performance. In addition, CTeC and the Innovation Park will offer instances for showing these annual events, showing these everything. We'll have where technicals and professionals can go and visit and showcase everything, these technological solutions. We will be also producing training to the extent the customer needs, because it's that important. One of the gaps detected, it's very important to strengthen the capacities of labor, of technicals and professionals regarding all these new disruptive technologies, industrialization processes, and all the new processes we need to have in our with our labor. Lastly, CTeC will be accompanying you in generating collaborative projects, because we know that the greatest value is in those synergies that can happen between the provision of material, supply material, and between real estate and constructors that want to go and pilot and test new innovations together. Along with all those services, we will accompany companies and institutions in defining their challenges for innovation and managing the project and commissioning it and operating these pilot projects and supporting the gathering of instruments, creation of new networking with other stakeholders, monitoring in the variables of performance and compliance and of everything you're testing, validation and certification, certification such as members as ADM or national laboratories. The showcase of these solutions, the dissemination, constant dissemination, and brand positioning, and continuing with the cycle of detecting new opportunities. Who is this park thought for? Who is invited to participate of this project? All the real estate companies that want to test here different pilot projects for housing, projects in white sales, for example, or to having a chases here with we're testing new household solutions, new technical specifications and materials for their real estate companies. Welcome to all the construction companies as well. They're all welcome. They want to test all the construction systems and to incorporate industrialized matters to test productivity on site and all the new technologies that they can start adapting. Everyone here, the suppliers of goods, materials, all the industrializers, they're all invited here. Everyone that can show their solutions, and we can probably articulate this together with those that need those solutions. And public institutions, Minbu, which is part of our work network, but all the institutions, the Ministry of Public Works, that together we can go and test these solutions. All the technological companies and startups, entrepreneurs, everyone is welcome in the park. Researchers, the professionals, technical staff. We are inaugurating the park now, thanks to the fact that we have a significant group of companies that have collaborated in the construction of this platform, which is not only an innovation park, it is a platform for you, for everyone in the construction sector, for everyone to enrich and reap benefits of this park that is opening its doors. I'd like to thank all the companies. Here you can see we have companies, large companies that are quite acknowledged in the market, but we also know we have small startup companies, technological companies, suppliers, providers, suppliers of goods that are already in the park. And because of the grants we've received, donations, but we're piloting, we're also doing the censoring, and Veronica will tell us later on the detail of how it's been working with them. The value of working in an integrated manner, of combining these constructive solutions, different materials, different companies, is where learning is found and where we can gain the most from innovation. What are the challenges for the next months to come in terms of the park? First of all, we have to commission the first pilot projects that we're already designing, along with companies such as Volcan, Echeverria Izquierdo, cooperative phase, we're starting to design an industrialized housing, also with Melon Hormigones, Melon Concrete, where they have wanted to create a thermal wall, and with Copemar and the Faculty of Architecture of Universidad de Chile, where they already have a CLT timber, and they're starting, and we want many others to be part of this park. Last but not least, I'd like to tell you that the challenge that we have from here until the last, by the finish of the year, is to drive the regional nodes and to have these pilot stations, as the rector said, of Universidad de la Frontera in Temuco, which is in the south of Chile, and we'll have a northern node in Antofagasta, in the northern part of Chile. So if required, we can repilot the same project, the same constructive solution, in 3 climatic situations that are very different: the desert of Chile, in the central zone, and also in the south of Chile. And we'll be able to compare, benchmark the performance. And if you're hearing us today, hearing from us, and you're interested in accompanying us in this technological leap of innovation that the sector wants to give, the first thing we'd like to invite you to do is to visit our website, www.CTeCinnovacion.cl. And after that, write to us directly to contacto@CTeCinnovation.cl, and we'll be glad to receive you, to give you more information, to accompany you to visit the park, and for you to work in our facilities soon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Muchas gracias, Carolina.
Thank you very much, Carolina. We would like to invite all the companies that want to be part of the Innovation Park to write to us at contacto@ctec.innovation.cl. Likewise, you're invited to share these activities in your social networks with the hashtag #ParqueCT, and to send us your questions through the WhatsApp number that is in your screens. Up next, we'll start with the second part of this event. For this purpose, we have the participation of Laura Tortera from Ferrovial Construcción, Martin Garley from BRE, Alejandro Gutierrez from ARU, and Veronica Oyarzún from CTeC. For this purpose, I'd like to leave the floor open for Carolina Briones, who will be moderating this activity. Thank you very much, Yasna. And we now would like to leave the floor open to receive the lecturers that are here with us today, and for them to share their experience. And for this purpose, I'd like to invite our first, Martin Ganley, the Director of Innovation of BRE Group, who's also leading the strategy related with the network of parks of innovation that BRE has across, well, the world, really. Likewise, he's responsible for the research programs developed by BRE. And Martin, now we would like to thank you not only for being present today in the launch, but for all the support you've given us in these 3 years in planning and thinking about CTeC and in really designing what the Innovation Park is about. So Martin, we know that BRE nowadays is 100 years now with our park. We're just starting. We have many years of distance, but I think that this 100-year anniversary, BRE has a lot to say about the main or major policies and projects that have been articulated from BRE in terms of innovation and improvement, productivity, and sustainability, which nowadays have a global impact, which we can extrapolate and bring to the context of Chile. So what do you think about this?
Hello. I'd like to tell you about some of the main policy drivers for the built environment in the UK. The first is productivity. The UK construction industry needs to increase productivity as it is lower than all other sectors of the UK economy. This is also an international challenge for construction. There are opportunities to improve this using modern methods of construction and also new digital methods. This can help significantly reduce both the costs and the project time by 50% and more. It can also help improve quality and safety. There is an opportunity for the UK government to use its significant investment in social infrastructure, such as the building of schools and hospitals, to support this change. This will be done through the new procurement rules called the Construction Playbook, which the government published at the start of this year. Carbon emissions are another key area of government policy in the UK. The UK is committed to achieving net zero carbon emissions by 2050 and to reduce emissions by 78% by 2035 compared to the levels in 1990. The UK are hosting the climate summit COP26 in November this year. There are a range of changes needed in the UK, including improved resource and energy efficiency measures that reduce demand for energy across the economy, a change in societal choices that leads to a lower demand for carbon-intensive activities, extensive electrification supported by a major expansion of renewable and other low-carbon power generation, and the development of a hydrogen economy and carbon capture and storage. And when reducing carbon for buildings, we need to consider both new build and retrofit solutions for existing buildings. Both of these changes will require significant investment in the development of new skills. There is an opportunity to upskill the existing workforce about these new technologies to ensure such targets can be met. I'm just trying to share the second slide for a moment. Sorry, my screen isn't moving. I'm just going to try and change.
No te preocupes, Martin, te esperamos.
Okay, 1 second.
Don't worry, we'll wait for you, Martin.
Okay. Okay, I think I'm sharing the
Sí, Martin, estamos viendo.
Apologies for the delay. The Construction Innovation Hub is an example of a significant UK government programme to improve productivity and also quality and better environmental and social outcomes. BRE is one of the partners on this programme, together with the Manufacturing Technology Centre and the Centre for Digital Built Britain in the UK. The programme will help provide better performance outcomes through value-based decision-making. This will help optimise the outcomes rather than focusing on the lowest cost solution, as is often the case. Advanced manufacturing methods are being used to develop a more standardised kit of parts that can be reconfigured for different building types. At present, there are many different approaches to off-site manufacturing, and the lack of standardization makes these solutions difficult to deliver at scale. This manufactured solution will be enabled by an integrated information management framework. This will support digital tools and digital twins of buildings and help manage the building through its life cycle. This also requires new methods to ensure quality, performance, and safety in design, construction, and operation. Another significant government programme is Decarbonizing Homes. In the UK, the domestic energy use per household has decreased by more than 20% since 2000. This is mostly due to energy efficiency improvements in insulation, in boilers, and the efficiency of electrical appliances. However, domestic heating is still 13% of the UK's annual emissions footprint, which is similar to the level of emissions from petrol and diesel cars. New build homes are only 5% of the decarbonisation problem, compared to the need to retrofit existing buildings. The UK government is developing a new buildings and heat strategy and is investing in research and testing for a range of solutions. And almost 30 million households will need to be retrofitted over the next 30 years, including non-domestic buildings. This will cost up to £35 billion per year. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Martin. La verdad es que
Thank you very much, Martin. The truth is that it's quite impressive, all the advanced, the focus you have, your approaches. And I believe that one of the key concepts that you showed today have to do with standardization. And I believe that one of the actions that we will conduct and that we're doing with many initiatives is to standardize the way of working. Thank you very much.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
And we will.
La invitada Laura Tordera.
And we will continue with our second guest, Laura Tordera, leader of innovation of Ferrovial Construction. We're pleased to have a woman invited to our panel today who will see proudly how we are going, the representativity of women is growing in the business. And she's responsible for the corporate strategy in the area of innovation for the different geographical areas where Ferroviales work in the railway industry. We've known the way of operating closely, and we've seen the innovation of Ferrovial at an international level because we know the projects in Chile and we work with you. We know that historically you've had a close relationship with an international partner as Tecnavia. So you can maybe tell us, could you maybe tell us, Laura, the benefits you've been able to capture throughout these years and this public-private relationship between Ternal and Ferrovial, and how a company like you can reap the benefits of receiving the accompaniment of a technological center such as our center here in Chile.
Sí, Laura, quizás puedas abrir tu micrófono.
Laura, if you could, I think you're muted. We can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Hola, ¿me escucháis ahora? Ay, perdonad.
Can you hear me now?
Bueno, muchísimas gracias por
Well, thank you very much for inviting us to this event, to this launch. And the best of lucks in this launch, because it is an initiative that I believe is very interesting and that I'm sure will reap the benefits of it. And it will have benefits for you, for the country, and for collaboration with international entities. And it's great. So congratulations and the best of lucks. Regarding the question you asked me, our collaboration, for example, with Tecnalia, our collaboration with Tecnalia is from within our strategy, our open innovation regime, which has been commented, and it's the idea you have of your park. For us, collaboration with open innovation is critical because we're going to work with the best, with specialists in each one of the areas that we want to develop. So it is critical to have that collaboration with different stakeholders in the construction ecosystem. I believe that the park can be a great opportunity to strengthen these collaborations, to drive them between different entities. Now, regarding Tecnalia, Tecnalia is one of the technological centers that are the most important in Europe. And for us, it's a fundamental partner in the development of all of our initiatives. With Tecnalia, we have a very close relationship and we collaborate with different initiatives with them. We have projects with many more partners funded by public entities. We have projects that are individual and developments that we want to conduct in Ferrovial, and they help us with that. We have technical issues in our work site, which we don't know how to solve. And then if we have them, we go along with Tecnalia. We have market studies, state of the art. Last year, we conducted a study with them along with Ternalia, focused on smart materials and advanced materials. And the truth is the results have been amazing. Sometimes we also identify challenges together because the areas in which we work with Tecnalia, it's areas that are common and we have challenges that both of us have. So collaboration with them is ongoing, constant. Within this open innovation scheme, in addition, we have other types of agreements, framework agreements with MIT. For example, we have an agreement in the next 5 years. We'll invest $5 million, and we have an area where we conduct our research projects. We were collaborating since 2010 with them, and we've done different projects together with MIT. And we have collaborations with Imperial College in the UK and with polytechnic universities in Madrid, Barcelona, Cantabria. The open innovation team for us is critical because it lets us be much more agile and flexible and to develop projects that would be very hard or almost impossible to be conducted in another way. You commented on the collaboration with startups as well. I believe that is critical. It's critical for there to be interactions between multinational entities as Ferrovial and entities like startups, which are technological companies that are much more flexible.
This, I also like to explain, well, for example, when elephants dance with gazelles, because in this case, we are the elephant. And the gazelles allows us to be very quick in our implementation of our technologies. We do offer our experience, our testing fields, and the sandbox that amazes us on how we test these technologies, these different startups that they couldn't take to the field. So I think that the synergies generated in this open innovation ecosystem that you are going to do from the park are going to be fundamental. We're also investing in venture capitals. We just invested in Lilium. That is a technological company focused on mobility in the city. And because we really want to test what is going on those fields. And last, and I don't want to compare with public agencies, with funds and financing to open doors for what society needs and what the country needs. And for us, those collaborations are fundamental. So I can only say good things on our collaborations with other entities, and to be sure that what the park does is going to be successful. Thank you so much, Laura. Like you said, apparently we have a lot of potential in this synergy of mobilizing initiatives between the public and the private sector. And in this way, our third guest has a lot to tell. Alejandro Gutierrez, Associate Director of ARUP, and between 2012 and 2016 was Executive Director of CREO. Also, now he's Executive President of Construye 2025. Alejandro, we have so much to thank you. And we know that in this sector, in terms of a global scale, representing 36% of use of energy and 39% of the CO2 emissions. Because of this, one of the priority of the CTeC is to encourage and to boost the development of policies and initiatives that are more sustainable. We know that from ARUP, you have led a green agenda, and maybe you can share with us which are the technological tendencies and public policies in terms of the topics of sustainability, and what are you implementing and encouraging in this project that you're carrying on. Thank you so much for the invitation. I feel very honored and moved to see how the stream of many people from a public policy point of view, and with the collaboration of the public sector and with academy, with Universidad de Chile in this case, and the regional universities, we are carrying out in a very ambitious level that I never imagined. So congratulations to everyone that translated this from a dream into a reality, because that is the most important thing. The question that I was asked had to do with the context of public policies and if there is something that is changing the game in Europe, particularly that has a global impact, because Europe is around 16, 17% of the global population, like China or the United States. So public policies made by the European Union somehow influence the market in terms of construction, technology, and the industry that we're talking about. So if they take a positive initiative. Okay, so now we can see what are the main objectives. And I'm not going to go into further detail. I want to focus on specific points. On the next slide, the Green Deal that the European Union has, that has all of these topics that you can see here. Maybe you can go back another slide. I just very quickly comment something. The president of the European Commission on March last year, when the pandemic started, she said that the Green Deal was the engine of the recovery. This means that the Green Deal is not something to mitigate or generate adaptation, but this was also an engine for growing and recovery of the European Union economy. And I think that is absolutely crucial, especially in this context from Chile to South America and all the economic regions and the different areas. So now we can go back to the slide number 3, where we can see what are the areas of public policies, specific topics. And as you can see, many of them are linked to the construction industry, the one that we are all involved in. Next slide, please, so we can see the size of the effort from the point of view of the European Union in regards of the investment. The Green Deal Fund, the Next Generation Fund, and the multi-annual for next years of a very high.
Entonces tenemos 555
We have
millones que están dedicados a este Green Deal. Y si vamos a la diapositiva siguiente,
half of this, almost half of this dedicated to the Green Deal. And this has specific objectives associated to financing a sustainable growth. And I would like to focus on the first point, that I think that it may be obvious in some parts of the world and less obvious in other parts, that from public policies, we want to increase the flow of capital towards sustainable initiatives and installate an industrial policy that aims for the construction industry and the retrofit changes in a specific way. This is why there's a set of actions that we're going to quickly go over. This is the first point. And then we can go now to the next slide, where we can see the taxonomy of the European Union. And this is a new modality that starts now. And as you can see, it's on an implementation phase. What they do is standardize the 27 countries, the different ways of accessing the funds of the Green Deal. And you can see that this is on an implementation process, but I want to reinforce beyond anything is from this slide to the slide number 10, where we can see where the market has anticipated. Slide number 10, please. A little forward. There it is. The market has been anticipating in a very important way the implementation of this. As you can see, we are on the first two stages of regulation. And we have emphasized and we have seen a strong reaction to an alignment to the certification framework, to say this in a certain way, to the European taxonomy and the CFDR for green financing. And we are going to see this in a couple of projects that I'm going to present on the next stage of the presentation. We can also see that our clients in Italy, for example, in Germany, in the Netherlands and Spain, have been getting closer to the near zero carbon building standards for all their new projects, depending on the local regulations, but now coming closer to what the European taxonomy is asking. All our clients today are working with that certification that are known in the market in Chile and in Europe. For example, what some of them have. And this is a very important part of the green financing. And then I want to go to slide 12, that one, great, thank you. How we get, there has been a growing or an increase, as you can see on the left chart, in the sector of the real estate, in the construction, how access to green financing of these projects has increased. And on the right chart, you can see how we can break this access down to finance real estate construction projects with different countries in Europe. And you can see how this has been very important, and the uptake, the option of this type of finances in South Asia and the Pacific. So the European Union is a regulating agent where you can also see the flowing of investment, but we can see how the industry has adopted this to be prepared for the future changes. On the next stage of the presentation, I'm going to show a couple of examples, one specific example on how this has been implemented. Thank you so much, Alejandro. I think that with the participation of our guests, we can see how we have aligned to what is going on in Europe on what are the priorities of standardizing and generating policies on a world level in terms of circular economy, near zero, carbon capture, climate change, certifications, and many of these initiatives are the ones that we are considering from the CTeC, now planting this seed on the park. Now I would like to keep going with our next guest, Verónica Oyarzún, New Business Management from the CTeC. Verónica, thank you for being here. Thank you for the effort and the leadership on how to build a park in the midst of a pandemic. The challenge is not small, and how to create alliances with different partners. To complement everything that our international guests have presented, maybe you can tell us from the park, how do they have these 20 companies? What opportunities do the companies see when participating in the park, when joining this challenge, and how this park can help the needs of the different segments that compose the value chain of these projects of building an infrastructure? Thank you, Veronica. Thank you, Caro. Well, as you were saying, this hasn't been an easy year, especially from the construction point of view in the midst of the pandemic. But even so, there were companies, as you say, saw opportunities, and they realized that these huge activities that you can do on an international level, that Laura described, that Martin described, that Alejandro described, somehow we needed to start doing this in Chile. They saw opportunities of this is the way to be. We need to lead, we need to be the first. This was an opportunity for them to collaborate to generate a change in Chile. And why not testing and obtaining data, because we had companies that were doing innovation. So in this video, we're watching some examples. In this case, we're looking at an example in particular. We saw a slide with all the companies, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more in detail. This is a company that emerges from a project from the University of Santiago, where they saw the opportunity of generating and relieving energy in the impact while people walk. This was a very intra-laboratory testing, and they tested what happened in a real life scale in the middle of nowhere that we're going to walk all the time. We're also watching the example of the house of water. This is a house of a construction company, and they said, what if we tested what happens with thermal inertia in a dwelling when incorporating water in our panels? And we did the whole accompanying first in the laboratory process on testing inter-laboratory, and then we moved this to the park. We finished the censoring in 2 weeks. We gave the first report on how we can improve the thermal conditioning inside, having a curve with a peak of the temperature outside of 30, lower of 5. Outside, we never increased to 25 degrees, and we never went lower than 15 degrees. So now we're looking at other analysis that we could make, and we're going to progress with them throughout a whole year that we expect to have on the park. The other example that we can watch on the video is the Baumax case. This is a national company, one of the first in roboting and prefabricating systems. And with them, we saw the opportunity of testing different solutions that they were already observing as an option, but clearly they cannot test on site. So here we tested different unions, different matchings. We tested different solutions, different foundations, and also different configurations of the tiles. We realized, and they realized during the process of designing, that they weren't possible, so they were discarded. And there are others that were tested on the field, on site, that maybe they weren't as ideal to put in a facility. So therefore, this was an experiment, our own facilities, and they gathered knowledge and learnings. And as you can see, we have many other companies. We can say Ormibet, we can talk about Fractal and other companies that are providing different platforms to be able to work digitally. For example, in Velocity, we have tech ideas in companies that have the recycle polyethylene. It is a huge residual from construction sites, and we are building parking lots for the park with that. We've been receiving support on waterproof solutions, on the roofs installed in the modules, on Baumax and other of Technofast. So ultimately, all the companies that joined us saw the opportunity of interacting with others and learning in the process, because this wasn't their daily tasks, but they took advantage of the lessons learned. Thank you so much, Veronica. We can see concrete cases of companies that want to innovate. Maybe some of them don't know on how to do this process, but we can accompany them. Maybe Martin now can account for, from the BRE, what are the cutting edge technologies that you are piloting and testing, and how are you accompanying the different companies that want to incorporate in the BRE parks? And maybe you can share some examples.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'd like to talk about some of the cutting edge technologies we see in industry, and then also some of the examples of demonstrations on the BRE Innovation Park. So building technologies are developing at a very fast pace. They're also becoming more joined up. Modern methods of construction provides a range of solutions with different levels of production within factories. Volumetric construction uses three-dimensional structural systems which have been produced in controlled factory conditions. These volumetric units can be brought to the construction site in different forms, including just a basic structure or including external finishes and services already installed. Panelized or 2D construction uses flat panel units for basic floor, wall, and roof structures, which are assembled on site. There are also other approaches such as additive manufacturing or 3D printing, and improvements to traditional on-site methods and processes. There are many innovations in the use of materials also. Timber can help improve sustainability and can be used for timber frame buildings, for example. Its strength can be increased through the use of cross-laminated timber, and sustainability can be further improved where locally grown timber is used. Some buildings use light gauge steel frames for residential and light commercial structures. Its lightweight means it can be transported to site easily and can help reduce the load on foundations and reduce carbon use. There have been considerable research and development to create low carbon concrete, as this is still a very useful material, but traditionally has a high carbon content. The use of digital methods in the built environment is increasing. These can help improve the process of delivering and operating buildings. This can ensure better outcomes at every stage of an asset lifecycle. The use of building information modeling, or BIM, can help fragmented teams and data become better connected, allowing better collaboration and sharing across the planning, design, construction, and operation of the building. Virtual reality and augmented reality can digitally simulate or enhance a physical building to create a data-rich environment to improve our understanding, decision-making, and learning. It allows the testing of ideas and resolution of problems in a cost-effective way and can enhance the use of BIM. The increased use of sensors, controls, and communication systems within buildings provides real-time data on the building performance, allowing better insights and interventions to improve outcomes such as energy use and comfort for occupants in buildings. Drones or unmanned aerial vehicles are being used in the construction industry for a number of reasons. They can be used to provide digital surveys of existing sites and buildings to input into BIM models. They are also used for inspection for difficult to reach locations. There is an increasing interest in digital twins. These are realistic virtual representations of the real world physical building and its operation. They are changing how technologies such as the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and analytics are optimized. There are a range of energy and low carbon solutions for buildings, for both new build and retrofit of existing buildings. Insulating the fabric of the building is key, including the walls, floor, and the roof of the building, as is ensuring the windows are highly insulated. Regulations continue to place stricter conditions on insulation, and products continue to improve their performance to meet these changing requirements. More innovative materials include phase change materials, for example. When the building is warm, they can store heat and release it when temperatures are lower. They can therefore help maintain a constant internal temperature and reduce the energy use of the building. There are a range of key energy generation technologies which are seen as important in the UK for housing. These include heat pumps, solar photovoltaics, district heating, and hydrogen. Heat pumps provide energy efficient heating and cooling and are one of the most effective technologies available at the moment to decarbonise buildings, including air source and ground source heat pumps. These produce heat at lower temperatures than traditional gas-powered solutions and work most effectively with large surface area radiators and underfloor heating. Although the number of installed heat pumps in the UK is relatively low at the moment, this is expected to increase to 600,000 new heat pumps being installed annually by 2028. At the moment, about 85% of homes in the UK use methane gas powered central heating. An emerging solution is to use clean hydrogen generated by renewable energy to either be mixed with the methane gas or replace it totally. This would significantly reduce carbon emissions. There are some technological and practical challenges, and considerable research is being performed, including large-scale trials of the first hydrogen-powered homes in the UK. The first homes powered by hydrogen will be completed in the UK by the middle of this year. Renewable electric solutions, including photovoltaics, battery storage, and links with electric vehicle charging, continue to increase. Innovation over recent years has helped average solar power efficiency in the UK to increase from about 15% to well over 20%, with significant improvements in battery storage as well. Heat networks, or communal heating, using single systems to provide heat to large networks of houses, are also potentially part of the future solution. And sensors and systems for monitoring and managing energy can help reduce carbon. The UK has been installing smart meters across the UK to help households see their live energy use, and is one step towards a smart grid to intelligently manage supply and demand. There are also a wide range of smart devices, such as smart thermostats, lighting, and plugs, for example, to help control energy use. BRE's Innovation Park at Watford was launched in 2005 and showcases full-scale demonstration buildings developed by industry partners. This allows demonstration, research, testing, assessment of solutions in an independent environment. The Userhuis is a volumetric off-site construction. The core building was assembled on-site at BRE in just 6 hours. The kitchen, bathroom, and services are all integrated into the modules, which are built in the factory. The roof is a terracotta effect building integrated photovoltaic system. There is an energy management system controlling the energy use in the house, which makes decisions between operating the house, charging the battery, and exporting electricity to the national electricity grid. The Zero Bills house uses a lightweight structural steel and timber frame, which are locally sourced. It is a highly insulated concrete foundation slab and external wall insulation. And there is triple glazing and heat recovery ventilation systems that help reduce demand, which means that a small heat pump can be used to provide comfort and hot water. It has a building integrated photovoltaic solar roof system, battery storage and LED lighting to reduce electric demand, allowing surplus solar energy to be used for electric vehicle charging. And there are water saving appliances and rainwater harvesting to reduce water demand. The Prince's Natural House was built using natural materials and an energy efficient construction. It is constructed with aerated clay blocks and has compressed wool fibre and sheep's wool insulation in the walls and floor. It uses recycled materials for the floors. The natural, non-toxic materials provide a healthy indoor environment. We are now implementing a new project to retrofit this house with technology to further support net zero emissions. This will include the use of an air source heat pump and solar PV. It will have a sophisticated energy management system and will support electric vehicle charging. And finally, the Utopia House was recently constructed at BRE. It aims to provide increased productivity and quality through the use of its off-site constructed system and achieve reduced costs and build time compared to traditional approaches. It also aims to achieve net zero carbon emissions using solar tiles, triple glazed windows, an air to water low temperature heat pump for heating and cooling, and smart energy controls and energy efficient appliances. So I'd just like to say, we've been working on some of these innovations on the park for a long time. It's very exciting to see CTeC starting on their journey and to be working with them on this. So thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Martin. como tú bien dices, estamos
Thank you
comenzando.
so much, Martin. As you said, we are just beginning this journey. Fortunately, from the experience that you already have, we would love to see these kinds of houses prototyping in our park. And maybe Laura can also share some of those technologies that Martin accounts for, and maybe you are already applying concrete cases, and maybe you can show us or share us implementing this technology, and in what way are they implementing, and what challenges of innovation. Maybe this requires articulation with other actors of the industry.
Experiencias y de los proyectos que estamos llevando.
Share some of the experiences and the projects that we're conducting and that were recently we have finished, for you to see a portfolio and example of technologies that we're trying out in our projects. The first one I'd like to share with you is the project that we created, Apolodoro, and you're asking yourselves why it's called Apolodoro. Apolodoro of Damasco is one of the engineers that generated this bridge that crosses the Danube River, and they're doing this in Bratislava in Slovakia. And what we're doing as a novelty is that this design of this bridge, it's the first time that it's done at a global level, and it is a bridge with a width that is very large with two lateral parts. So it has been designed with traditional methods and it's been built, yes, with the traditional methods. But our engineers know that this can be optimized. So what we decide and what we've done is sensorize the entire bridge. And with the IoT platform connected to those sensors, we created a digital twin, which allows us to control in real time efforts and loads of each one of the sections and elements of the bridge. So this will allow optimizing the design of future bridges of this typologies and to conduct works rapidly. So for us, it's a very important bridge that we want to reap the benefits of creating a work like this. Well, another example that I wanted to share is the piloting project, which is a project that is funded and supported by the European Commission through the Horizon 2020 program. And it's a consortium that we participate in with many entities, because all these projects, we create them collaborating with different entities. As I have commented in the first intervention, for us it is critical each one of these members of the consortium exhibits their expertise and knowledge to the consortium to create new solutions. So what we're doing is the maintenance of infrastructure and inspection, because there's many sites where we cannot reach because they don't have access or because the access is very complicated. So through these technologies, these systems, we can have a thorough control of all the zones and infrastructures, and in a more rapid manner with less cost. So with this, we avoid collapses such as what happened in Geneva a couple of years ago in Europe, and it lets us make decisions much before reaching the last moment. Another one of the projects and initiatives that I wanted to comment on is the 4C project, which is also supported by the European Commission. The leader of this project is Tecnalia, as I mentioned before. They are a partner that is critical for us in this type of project. What we want to search for in this initiative is to develop tools that allow us to anticipate in the services of infrastructures. This means that when their time there's a lot of snowfall, great floods, or natural disasters or cyber attacks caused by men. The idea is first to have a system that buffers the consequences of these attacks. So this project, we are doing it together with our DIT 30 in Madrid, which is one of the neighboring parts of Madrid. And what we're doing is helping them through the design of these tools for them not to have any cuts in power and service. So we not only think that it's important to construct but maintain. In Europe, we have very old structures, and we need to control maintenance uh, and avoid us being afraid of them. And another one of the projects that I like to that I love, and I believe it's important to share, is the one that we call Warning Presence of People. It is a project that is much focused on security in our works, and what we seek is the interaction man-machine to control it and to avoid us having these runovers, which unfortunately are still producing these works. And our objective as a company is to reach zero accidents. This is our own technology that we've developed with an international technological company, and we're testing our works, and it's working correctly. Some of the technologies that we're also testing with different stakeholders and entities are the ones related with the new materials and techniques for construction. The state of the art that we conducted last year along with Technalia. One of the projects that we're conducting now is conducting new concrete, the use of concrete substituting the compression by polypropylene fibers or glass fibers. These fibers are used, the formwork, they're used from waste services. What we do is to gather that waste, we transform them into these fibers, and we substitute the steel ones with this. The resistance and the features that they're giving us, it's the same as using steel. So what we'll do now is we'll try to use this in our works. Another one of the projects we're conducting is the one focused on intelligent aggregates. It's intelligent pavement in which we embed sensors in the agglomerate that allow us to connect with the car. Nowadays, it's cars that are connected vehicles, but the idea is for these RFID sensors to connect with the autonomous vehicles. So we're transmitting or conveying traffic data, climate conditions, speeds, and it's a technology that is very flexible that will allow us to guide autonomous cars. Another one of the initiatives that we're conducting here in the tunnels that we're building in London is what we call smart formwork, which is a system with different types of sensors. What it controls is temperature and pressure of the formwork cars of tunnels, which lets us see where each one of the points is and each of the points that we're working with the tunnel. And that is how we go faster, and we see the settings and we optimize times in which we use these tunneler. And 3D printing, last but not least, we're quite interested in this technology, this new way of building. We're currently building a bridge that was that last week we made some improvement when we created 3D elements that allow the two layers of the arch to bump against each other. It's all the devices that we are creating in 3D, which is facilitating the manufacturing and the flexibility that each element is in one way or the other. That with traditional methods, that was practically impossible. And to conclude, I think it could be interesting to comment on this. There's new technologies that we're using in our projects, and one of them with our engineering services, we're starting to use parametric and generative design. These are tools that let us, through different conditions and characteristics, give us a first overview and design using these novelty tools. Now, blockchain is a technology that we believe will have much potential in construction, and all these certifications that happen in the works every time you change phase, when they provide certain certified elements such as welding or any other element that we have under construction. But now it's just very tedious processes which are not that recorded, that will record it. You have a certification, you send it, and then sometimes years pass, and when you need it, you don't know where you have saved it. So with blockchain technology, you can do that certification and you can save that in safe environments. We also work with processing of natural language in our projects in Central and the documentation that we use in the Central services. And in works, we have works, the great infrastructures we build, sometimes have thousands of plans. And with that natural language processing, let us see on which plan we're at, and we can classify it and document it in an automated, mechanized manner. And it's worth noting that Li-Fi technology is Wi-Fi, but with the LED lights. Why do we use this technology? Because there's some areas such as works, underground works or tunnels, which are a significant part of our structure, portfolio structures, where connectivity does not reach, internet connection does not reach. Nevertheless, if we use it through the own lights of the site, we can have that condition, that connection, and it multiplies everything we can do within these environments. So I'd like to mention that everything is possible and that we must try it. And we must not have limits because there's very state-of-the-art technologies like the ones we've commented, and we're truly just starting to use these in our works. So I think we don't have to have any limits here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Laura. The truth is, it's impressive, the portfolio of technologies that you're using. It's amazing. Thank you very much, Laura, because many times we think this just has to do with literature or the world of the academy, and all these technologies are just applied in specific cases, but you are able to show that this is being done and can be done, not only in terms of buildings, but in infrastructures as well, and health of the workers. So we're quite enthusiastic, and we will request you for your advice. There's no doubt about that. So, yes, you have our support. You're being reported, so yes, we'll take your word for it. We're going to hear Alejandro. We heard Alejandro in the previous lecture, and from Maru, they told us that they already implemented these interactions. Maybe you could tell us a bit about net zero that you're developing, and maybe you can convey how all these new adoptions, these new technologies, you're taking them, and how you're working with them in their early phase from the planning of project the design. Alejandro, please, the floor is yours. It seems like you're muted, Alejandro.
¿Ven la presentación?
Can you see my presentation? No, we don't see it yet.
No sé de qué la está hablando. Voy a volver a ponerla, perdón.
Okay.
Ahora estamos empezando a ver tu...
Now we're starting to see.
Sí, ahora sí, perfecto, Alejandro.
Bueno, sí, quería comentar
Okay, perfect, Alejandro. Yes, I'd like to comment that
voy a presentar un caso específico.
I'm going to present a specific case where we started in 2018 with a contest. And I wanted to refer to this because I believe it's important not only to, because of how fantastic it is to be awarded a contest for development in Milan, but because it was a contest that we've been thinking for C40, which is the Alliance on Cities for Climate Change. And this partnership or alliance of cities invented a program of acceleration of processes and technology for sustainable construction on a global level, and they're associated with 39 cities in the world, where Milan was included. In the case of municipality of Milan, not only the municipality it was a member, but the national railway company, which had a belt, perimetral belt in the city, where they had identified 5 sites where we use land for urban renewal at a large scale. One of these sites, this was one of these sites, and within the logics of reinventing cities of C40, these 3 entities partnered up, and this site was identified. And the main concept is to accelerate innovation processes associated to sustainability technologies and processes within built environment. And this is critical. And you're in the middle of that path. So this is a different way of doing what you're doing. And here we adopted specific measures. And the contest that had to do with removing the uncertainty of the implementation of the project. So municipality with C40 and the railway company decided that one of the basic elements of this contest was that the technical aspects, such as, well, like we had, for example, were going to be developed with a real estate advisor. And since the property was a railway and ferrocarriles, they had to do it. So they had an economic offer to purchase ground, land, and to develop a specific project that showed in a robust manner the characteristics it could have in terms of urban, economic, social, and environmental aspect. Here we have the C40 aspect described. We have other territories in Milan. We're just talking about one. This is one of the sites we're talking about, which is in the northern area zone of the city, where there's 6.2 hectares. And the requirements have to do with generating many square meter, 24,000, out of which 21,000 are for affordable housing. It's a very relevant issue nowadays in Chile, because I think that we're now allowed to generate. There's a law regulation that lets the Serviu, Ministry of Housing and Urbanism, through that we can go into a model that is for income. That this is already consolidated in Europe, but there's also services and green areas. So in this project, we also, well, there's also 400 units of housing there and 1,000 employments generated on site. Here we have the urban part and concept I will not go into, but I will go into the discussion of mixed activities, because it has to do with the type of services that the contest associated to generating services in situ has, and generating services that are proper for a reduction of emissions, which we will go deep into in this presentation.
And from the standpoint of the uses, this allows for the context to generate a reduction of the trips. In this case, it's a small one, but the location of this lot provides great accessibility, and we will further speak about this in a second. Next slide. Here we can see how the three main principles of the project are becoming real in different specific interventions. Nowadays, this project is in the construction stage. We have three great principles: zero emissions, a long-term project on 30 years, in the way that the creator of the project, that's a fund that has a social function that it's called Investire, that does projects on social housing, and they keep going up to 30 years. And it receives subsidies of the public sector and from the users, from the rent of the apartments or the commercial sites. And on the other hand, generating an inclusive community, and this was somehow guaranteed from the control renting features and the kind of users. So how do we achieve this? On the first bar here on the left, we have the tons equivalent of the project in 30 years, where we have incorporated energy, so the emissions associated to that. We also have the supply of energy on this field, on this project, mobility, the use of bioremediation and urban forestry, that we can mix this with other things. And last, we can extend the district heating network to the rest of the intervention area. This allows, with these 5 actions, in the 30-year life cycle in the practical project, zero emissions, right? Not just in specific aspects, which is what regularly happens. There's very narrow definitions of this. Sometimes they talk about thermal energy or electric energy in operation, and now what I'm showing you here, what's the novelty here, not novelty in the public policies, but novelty in the way that it is being executed with financing of this fund that has a cash flow that is very similar in 30 years to what renting would be. So what we're showing in this project is that it is possible with these innovation projects that start quote unquote facilitated by bidding and public policies, where there are renovations in the urban sites, which is now vacant for these kinds of use, which can be zero emissions, including, this is very important, incorporated energy in the materials, in the construction materials, the process of construction, and thermal energy and electric energy associated to function and lighting and heating and refrigerating. And also the component of mobility. We can also go into further detail if you want to know how this district feeds on energy and how it works. Here we have a set of components.
District heating.
The heating network, the district heating network, is merged with another district associated material, and this allows this energy to be, because the capture of residual heat, this is an additional action, incorporating solar panels and photovoltaic panels to increase energy on the flooring. And recovery of energy, I would say that this is innovative in the practical sense. Maybe in the last 5 years, we've seen this in a more distributed way on projects, the topic of heat recovery, especially from the water from the sewers. This water provides a base load to save energy from other sources. That is the logic, that this is combined in a low grid network with the district network that comes from this factory. This allows in some way create continuity of the service, and it is very cost effective for the investment of capital and innovation of all this development. Here are some specific descriptions in terms of the uses. For example, 1,200 meters for urban farming. And before closing, I would like to show you this slide that's very similar to what Martin showed from BRE. And here what was decided with a specific supplier was to create a mix from what I showed you before to decrease energy with the materials. This is a structure, double drywall sheet and recycled materials, and this is combined with CLT on the tilings and on the walls. So we generate, in case of what is going on in Milan in 2019, when this project started, and when it comes to its design, this was the most appropriate from the point of view of reduction of energy associated to this project and to these dwelling units that have a life cycle that Investire is investing. And with this, I would like to finish by saying that the critical thing here, the message I would like to give, is that innovation associated to construction industry requires time, requires processes and public policies that supports it. But I would also say that from the last 5 years, including what I said before, there has been some maturity and a certain update from technologies, processes, and there is a familiarity for the real estate industry. There's a clear trend in the finance market from the green financing point of view that allows to think that we are on a correct path, at least from Europe. It's a clear message for Chile, because products usually come from other places, but the trend is to access these kinds of funds. In the case of Chile, international funds that are investing in Chile, and in the living and dwelling housing industry is gaining more strength and requires these kinds of approaches for construction projects. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alejandro. We can see how projects have to have an integrated vision where privates and public agents converge. Through all our speakers, we can see that this accelerate the technological adoptions, and this gives us the hope to dream this net zero social housing here in Chile. In that way, Veronica, maybe you can comment how from the innovation park it is addressed the concept of open innovation, and what is the value that this generates for this ecosystem, and what are the next challenges that you can see now that we start with these first steps with our open doors to receive the different ages from your side? That's a lot of questions. Observing also what's going on internationally, there are a lot of challenges. But first of all, I would like to comment that in regards of open innovation, we are observing that we have real cases that we can start watching. We are talking with Echeverría Izquierdo to develop a collaborative project of open innovation where the idea is to be able to develop from the design stage and then align from there with what Alejandro was saying and what we saw in the previous presentations. Open innovation could be a space where every actor in the ecosystem should interact and start designing from zero, understanding that in this case the idea is to see a video, a project, and to see how it works from the design in an industrialized way with concrete, and to be able to understand, as they were saying, without adapting the design, if we need to adapt the standardizations or any component, and then go to the quoting process of integrated design with the same real estate constructor. So we're going to have that integration with Echeverria Real Estate Corporativo, and to be able to understand what's going on in terms of logistics, what is the construction, installation process, and of course the operation process, because we want to obtain the data to see how well we are executing with this hypothesis that is being developed from the zero moment of the design. And we have other projects with Volcan, for example, that we're developing a prototype that develops with this concept of open innovation and collaboration. So we can share different knowledge in with the different actors, generate space for everyone. We have some anchor businesses that are the ones that are being developed structurally, but always generating spaces for other suppliers and actors that can be incorporated. And of course, the highest value is to generate a higher impact in the ecosystem. Our biggest challenges: try to fill this park. We are expecting to receive a lot of people, and not just here in Carem, but maybe take this outside to the regional nodes, and not just in Antofagasta and Universidad de la Frontera, but also scale this in a national, and why not in a Latin American level. Great, Veronica. With so many difficulties we have achieved this point, why couldn't we achieve the Latin American stage? Thank you to all the speakers. We have a few minutes for questions and answers. I would like to invite the audience to send their questions to our email, and I would like to give a few minutes to each of our guests to provide closing words. Laura, let's start with you. Thank you. Just to conclude this launching, that I think it's very interesting, all the presentations and everything that is being commented. Congratulations on this event. And of course, the best of luck, the best of success, and all the energy for the challenge that you have ahead from now, from launching your park. Is going to be a challenge, sometimes difficult, but you will be able to overcome every challenge. There are no problems, there are opportunities. We always need to look forward. And I think it's a great opportunity to create this collaboration space in the industry of construction, that it is so necessary. And sometimes we miss this. And so I believe it is a great opportunity to have a center in which everyone is involved in, where everyone learns from each other, and that we use this center to have these multinational relationships, bilateral relationships. And we are thrilled to be involved in this, and that we helping you and you helping us. Thank you, Laura. We will do. You are going to be present in the next steps. Alejandro, maybe you also have some words, some closing words? Yes, absolutely. I would like to congratulate everyone, because from the idea to implementation, there's energy, there's intelligence, there's perseverance, and I believe that is very valuable. On second place, I would like to emphasize that this center represents a light associated to the collaboration of the public and the private sector. That's fundamental. Societies like ours need to innovate collaboratively. And the third point has to do with daring to innovate, daring with companies, with the academy, with the construction industry to innovate. Because what I tried to communicate with the two presentations I did is that this trend, this change, there's no stepping back. There's not a need to comply with some public policies. There are these requirements, but these are opportunities to improve the productivity and the performance of buildings, the quality of life of people, and generating jobs and development opportunities that are sustainable in time for our country. So you have a very beautiful task ahead, and we will continue to support you as we've been doing so far. Thank you. That is a very important point, Alejandro. Thank you very much. Jobs, training this workforce to be prepared for these new challenges. Martin, now it's your turn to give us your closing words.
Thank you very much, Carolina. Yeah, I think we've seen today the importance of collaboration on innovation and sharing ideas internationally, and also linking up governments, policy, industry, academia. I'd just like to congratulate everyone involved on a really, really significant achievement. I know there's an enormous amount of hard work gone into this, and I'd like to wish you all great luck with the next steps for the Innovation Park, and I look forward to continuing the collaboration with BRE.
Gracias, Martin. Por mi parte,
thank you so much, Martin.
Presentación, porque agradezco a todos y dejo a Verónica, gerenta, que va a estar ahí a cargo de echar a andar este parque, para que nos dé sus últimas palabras de cierre.
Gracias, Carolina. Bueno, solamente agradecerles a todos su presencia hoy día y agradecer de verdad a todas las empresas que nos colaboraron en el proceso y a las que se nos están sumando en este minuto. Pido disculpas si se me pasó alguna, porque hemos estado hasta esta semana todavía firmando algunos convenios de colaboración, algunos otros en comodato, y estamos todavía coordinando algunas instalaciones para la próxima semana, de algunos paneles fotovoltaicos, etcétera. O sea, de verdad no hemos parado, así que de verdad dejo abiertas las puertas, los teléfonos, los mails, para que por favor nos visiten y nos contacten y tengamos reuniones para poder empezar de verdad a dar este puntapié inicial para la colaboración, la innovación.
And to provide the leap that Chile needs to improve and the quality of life of everyone.
Yasna, seguimos contigo entonces.
Yasna, we will continue with you. Thank you very much to all the members of this selected group. These interesting conversations we had this morning. Undoubtedly, the industry of construction in Chile has progressed much, but there are still significant challenges ahead, even more related with improving productivity, driving innovation, collaboration, open collaboration, and the use of technology. And we hope our park contributes to all this. And before concluding, we'd like to leave with you Mr. Fernando Yanez, President of the Board of the CT Corporation, who will give us a few closing words. The floor is yours, Mr. Fernando. Thank you very much to all the speakers for your excellent presentations, and now we'll go to the closing of this event. And in honor of it, I'd like to thank everyone for participating. First of all, I'd like to thank Universidad de Chile, and especially the provost, who has been personally a great driver of the initiative. I'd also like to thank all the members of CTeC universities from Antofagasta, La Serena, University of Santiago, Technical University INACAP, Universidad de Concepción, Universidad de la Frontera, who from the beginning have relied much on the success of this corporation. I would also like to thank our European members, VRI, Trinal, and Urucat. Without their support, it would have been very hard to raise this initiative. I'd also like to acknowledge the contribution of the boards of CTeC, the first director 2017-2019, and the current board as well, and they have enormously contributed with their experience, and we have efficiently driven our strategies. I'd also like to thank all the companies that have been collaborating with us through their contributions. And I'd like to thank you for relying on us, the trust you put on us, which allows me to think that this institution will have a great repertoire now. I'd like to especially thank the Embassy of the UK. The Embassy of the UK has been collaborating since the beginning of the initiative, and I'd like to thank you, Ambassador, and everyone, the ambassador that came prior to you, for your support. To the Chilean Chamber of Construction, which is a main stakeholder in the industry, who has supported us specifically in conducting this event. So thank you very much, Chamber. And finally, I'd like to invite all of you, the entire industry, everyone that is present today, all the construction companies, real estate companies, all the companies that are related with construction, to participate of this institution, participate of this initiative. I believe that as we're seeing acceleration of the technological change, how accelerated it is in Chile, this is the timely moment to really be part of this initiative. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Fernando. Before we conclude, we would like to ask you to respond a brief survey that you'll be able to see on screen now, which will let us see your feedback about this encounter. And that's how we have concluded the launch of Innovation Park CTeC, and would like to invite you to contact us to know a bit more about this initiative. We'd like to thank all of you for participating. Thanks to our lecturers, speakers at Chilean Chamber of Construction. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Ok, estamos fuera.
Ok,